Hey everybody, your friendly neighborhood John Swift here. Got me a new hat from the Walmart. You ever hear people say the Walmart? Walmart? Put an S on the end of Walmart. I might do a review if I like this hat. 14, 15 bucks I think at the Walmart. And it's got some cool vents on the side and adjustable thing on the back and all kinds of cool things. And so I want to start changing it up because lately the content has been COVID and people getting shot by the police. That's like been my content. And I thought it was important to document just some of the thoughts and some of the history for down the road when all this stuff goes away, hopefully, just all this bad news and all this crappy stuff. You know, we got to look forward to is the presidential election. Are they actually going to have to put that off? That's like, isn't the election in November? It's like ridiculous. See this this gigantic statue? God, I can't see again. Somebody's playing the bagpipes over there. See this giant thing? It's actually about 30, maybe 20, 30 feet tall. It's a big tourist attraction. Everybody loves to take their picture in front of the kissing statue. I don't know what the hell you call that thing. What the hell is it called? Let's see what it's called over here. Unconditional surrender. And it's been a popular thing among tourists. We got to go to this statue and take our picture in front of it. I can just imagine the thousands and thousands of pictures of, look, it's a statue. It's really tall. I guess when you live somewhere and there's a statue there, I just lost my train of thought because this guy's playing guitar down here. I'll show you him in a second. When you live somewhere and you see the same statue every day, you're just like, what's the big effing deal? You know, it's a statue of a big sailor and blah, blah, blah. They put it like right where the tourists go. Like this is the Bayfront area. Sarasota Bayfront goes right over to Lido Beach over here. So it's like front and center of where. Okay, so this guy's playing guitar over here. So maybe this will turn out to be actually a fun video after all. I had something else planned, but this guy's just jamming out of his trunk. He thought he'd just come down to the beach and jam a little bit. How about some Ted Nugent? Ted Nugent! I was thinking maybe he'd play some Ted Nugent. Do you remember that Volkswagen VW that had some kind of like amplifier in the car? Not in the guitar. It had, I don't know, they were marketing it as a car you could plug your guitar into or something. That was, must have been 10 years ago. I don't know, maybe. Anyway, guy's just jamming out of his guitar. Hope it's not copyrighted material because YouTube will flag it. I don't know what he's playing. I guess that's a thing now. You just pull up, put your amp in the back of your trunk, and you just start jamming out of the Bayfront. This is a wide view of the Bayfront, which is many luxurious condos for very rich people. And you know how I feel about that. It's just fantastic for poor people. It's like, essentially it's like a wall for poor people not to be able to see the Bayfront because they can't afford it. All the poor people live on the other side of there. Anyway, let's get back to serious things now. So, yeah, like I said, COVID crap's getting old. And then you got this unfortunate George Floyd thing that came along and stirred up all this bad vibes, bad mojo. It's very unfortunate, and I believe I was very clear in my other videos about that, you know, it never should have happened. We don't have to get into that. But what I did want to get into a little bit, and I'm going to try to switch up the content. I'm thinking this is my last political type video. Here's a beautiful shot of the bay here. Take a nice smiley picture for the thumbnail. So yeah, all this, like, you just can't watch the news anymore. I just can't watch it. I turn on the radio. I like to listen to the radio. Can't listen to that because it's always another cop shot a black guy, and then the news. And you know, this is like all stuff I've done in the last month is like the news is just like completely twists your brain. It shows you this tiny speck of what actually happened. They keep replaying the same videos of the guy getting shot over and over because that's the way news works. It's sensational. It has to be. If it bleeds, it leads. You know, there's a movie I think that uses that. If it bleeds, it leads. So, you know, I've been over that, and I just want to sort of tack on some thought-evoking, something that can invoke your thoughts, because I have a very clear picture of how this stuff works with the media pushing all this stuff down your throat. They're essentially feeding you. It's not fake news. It's what would you call it? It's fraction news. You're seeing a fraction of what actually happened. You're seeing the highlight. Like I said, if you edit a story, generally in the news business, it's generally a minute 30. That's how long they give you to do news stories, is like a minute 30 and on to the next story, because attention spans are slow. It might even cut down to a minute now, I don't even know. Some stories, that's called a package. That's a complete story that's done by a reporter. If you're talking about a thing called a VOSOT, is a small blurb about, oh, tax season's coming up, blah, 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 blah. They roll some video of people doing taxes. That's even shorter. That could be like, 30-second reader. So like I said, news is set up that way to force feed you these bits, these little news bites. And it's not fake news, it's just not complete news. It's non-complete news. All right, sorry, just burped. It's pretty busy out today, a lot of people. Since Sarasota has reopened, it seemed like our tourism has shot to the roof, because there's just shitloads of people out here with dogs and all kinds of crazy stuff. All right, so focus. So the one thing I wanted you to think about is challenge yourself to think outside that news box where you're being force-fed these little bits, and you make a snap judgment on what you see in the news or a blurb on the internet or something on Facebook. And so every time there's a shooting, you're just going to see the video of the cop shooting the guy. You're not going to see any of the stuff that happened before it, because that's the way it is. And then you have to go to YouTube. Fortunately, there is YouTube, and you can search where's the complete video. There is a complete video out there of the George Floyd thing where they compiled all the security footage of the street, 2 different angles, plus the video of the thing. That gives you a complete, I'm trying to remember to put that on Facebook. That gives you a more accurate timeline of how all that stuff went together. If you're interested, it's fine. If you're not interested, then you're not interested. So, all right, so here's an actual scenario that actually happened to me. And I'm gonna tell you the story, and then I'm gonna talk about why it's not fair, why it wasn't a fair thing. And it's comparable to what happens now whenever there's an incident with people fighting, or some kind of incident about somebody saying something and you're hearing a sound bite but you're not hearing the complete thing. And that's how news works and the internet works now. It's all the same, those fractional pieces of bits of news. All right, so this happened to me in high school. So I was in the concert band and the marching band, symphonic band and all that crap where you play that classical music. So I got into a verbal spat with a girl that was sitting next to me. And it sounds funny. It's like, why would I be fighting with a girl? And unfortunately, it was a she-devil. That's the thing. It was not a conventional girl. It was a she-devil. And I'm sure maybe in your life you've encountered these people who are just assholes and pain in the asses. I mean, that's the only way you can describe it, is they're just pain in the asses. So, we were like arguing back and forth, and there was like probably some, I'll see you after class, and I'll whip your ass after class, blah, 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 blah. And so we got out after class, and I was like, so what were you saying? What were you gonna say? You gonna kick my ass or something? And don't ask me why I'm confronting a girl. I don't know. It's been too long. It's been way too many years to actually remember, except that I was a young, impressionable young teen, and I didn't know any better than to let somebody get to me. Probably I felt that she was bullying me or something, and like, you know, told me to fuck off, and then I was like, okay, wait till class, after class. So anyway, she had an umbrella with her, okay? So class gets out, I get outside of the classroom, and she's like, we're arguing, and she's pointing at me with this umbrella. Why she had an umbrella, I have no idea, in high school, but anyway, because I guess it was raining or something. So she actually hits me in the face with the tip of the umbrella and scratches my face. Like, I guess we're arguing, and she just like took a swing at me, and I totally wasn't ready for it. And it actually left a scratch on my face. So at that point, I immediately, because I was like a sucker punch, I immediately grabbed it and was trying to wrestle it from her hand, and it had one of those little J hooks on the bottom, so she had a good handle on it. And despite the fact that she was like 5'1" and smaller than me, she's pretty strong, I guess. So I'm trying to yank it out of her hand because I didn't want her to hit me with it again, and I was also really pissed off, of course. I mean, like you know, it's fight or flight. It's like she hit me in the face with an umbrella, and then you either walk away or you fight to defend yourself, and there's people gathering around. So then one of the assistant principals shows up, and then of course he's like, break it up, and then he's like, you two have to come to my office. So of course he only saw the last bit of what happened, and I don't know if I can say that I was fully innocent of doing anything wrong, because I said it was like self-defense. I was, voluntary arguing, but there was no physical contact until she hit me with the thing. So what did the vice principal see? I'm trying to think if I can remember that guy's name. He was like one of those vice principal, Joby, or I don't know, Vice Principal Jones, or whatever the hell his name was. I think his first name was Carmen or something. Anyway, so of course we go down to the office, and we both have to sit outside, and then, he hears both sides. There's a loud truck right here. Lots of people out in their boats today. It's always convenient when you have a loud truck out, and it's like really loud and stuff. It's awesome. Just so when you're trying to record a video and it's really loud, it's pretty cool. All right, so it was one of those things where I told my side of the story, she told her side of the story, and then he said he was going to suspend me. So he didn't end up suspending me because I told him, I emphatically implored him that you cannot be guilty of anything when you're defending yourself. When somebody hits you in the face with an umbrella, how is that fighting? Well, like I said, his perspective was he saw me yanking on the umbrella with her, and that was what his brain told him had happened, is I was wrestling with her with an umbrella, trying to get it out of her hand, and obviously it looks like I was doing something wrong. In his mind, that's what was wrong. Yeah, it's pretty out here today. A little quick scenic tour. The boats out there. Nice playground. I'm surprised it's not tied up with that tape and stuff. Taking a little break because I'm so tired. Excuse me. It's Eloise Whirlwind Park. I didn't know that. Somebody's taking a picture, I believe. Looks like, anyway. Oh, maybe not. Pretty, I was gonna say pretty out here. Pretty nice. Nice and clear out today. Anyway, so to get on with the story, yeah, my dad called on the phone, and I convinced him that there's just no way I'm getting suspended for defending myself. So that's what happened. So, like I said, that's comparable to what happens on video now. A lot of times people turn on their video camera after there's already started something, and we don't see the beginnings. And a good comparison is There's a lot of good comparisons, but one good comparison is I'm not going to be able to remember the guy's name now. The guy who got beat in LA, he was beaten by several officers. There was like 7 police, and they were beating him with those billy clubs. And the reason why I compare it to that is,
so he's always squirrely about it.
Is that there's a lot of women out here too. I would say it's a 9-to-1 women ratio today, which is not bad. If you're a dude, if you're a woman, maybe not so good. So, Rodney King. I'm sorry, Rodney King. If you look up the Rodney King video, you're going to see a helicopter shot of 7 officers or 8 officers or whatever it was with billy clubs just beating the hell out of Rodney King. And you're like, oh my God, that poor guy. They won't let him up, you know. They're just beating him. But what came out later that wasn't on video was the police chase where he was doing like PCP. And excuse me if I don't have the facts exactly right, and I'm like, don't call me racist because I don't like know the facts of the case. I usually read these things and then I forget like half the facts because I'm old. So, and I fall down a lot too. Damn sidewalk, they should sue somebody over that. So, yeah, the Rodney King thing was a huge thing because this is pre-internet. We're talking about 1992. I think the internet was just coming online then, around the early 90s, you know, with Prodigy and all that crap. Windows was just becoming a thing. And on the news, that's all you saw was the Rodney King, cops beating the hell out of him. Yet they didn't understand that he had been on a long police chase and had been endangering people, and then he was resisting arrest. And you know, you can batter that back and forth. You know, well, he didn't deserve to be beaten with bats. Probably not. I'm not arguing the fact that he was guilty or not guilty or the cops. So that sparked LA riots, and that was a very comparable situation to what it's like now with it's the United States riots, not the LA riots. It's just riots everywhere, or peaceful. Somebody's smoking some weed over there. That guy smelled like weed right there. Tell you what, I could smell weed from 2,000 yards away every time. Either that was somebody drove by with some weed. It's kind of partly legal here, but partly illegal. I'm trying to cross the street illegally right now. I'm trying to J-Rock right now. Maybe not. So, remember I was talking about the fragments of news. That's a good example, because I don't want to get into all the crap that's happening with the Atlanta police officer who shot the guy, and the guy had a taser. I don't want to get into that crap. I'm so tired of rehashing all this stuff. Everybody has to make up their own mind about, is it right, is it wrong, who was right, who was wrong. And here's another thing to process too. Along with what you're seeing is these news fragments or news bites, is that these facts of the officer stories can't come out until like the time of the pre-trial when they present these facts. The officers can't go on YouTube and start talking about this is what happened. Hey, I'm charged with murder, and so here's what happened. You know, their lawyer and the legal process inhibits you from doing that. But the people who are the victims and are in the video, when it's obviously it looks like somebody has beaten them or shot them or brutalized them, it's on video already. So the officer can't tell his story. And I am kind of sticking up for the police because it's a just system in the courts, but as far as the what do you call that? The popular opinion or the public perception, it's not fair because you're only seeing the bits of that news that is shown in that video, but you didn't see what was leading up to it. And the other thing that you can't, I'm gonna take a little rest here, get in the shade for a second. The other thing that you can't see in a video, like we're sitting at home on the couch with our laptop or our phone watching these videos with a calm perspective, okay? Our heartbeat isn't elevated, our adrenaline isn't running. You know, we probably or maybe hammered back a beer or two, and you know, it's possible that we're in a calm mood that we can make calm decisions and say, yeah, that's not right. That guy shouldn't have, you know, assaulted that guy, or that guy shouldn't have tased that guy, or that guy shouldn't have beat that guy up. But when you're involved in a situation, like I said, that fight that quotations fight, that getting hit with an umbrella, it was, heart was beating, adrenaline was running, I was only running on reactions. I wasn't thinking in a calm state of mind. Like I said, leading up to that incident of the girl and I arguing, of course I was pissed off and I was mad and I wanted to, you know, yell at her and get her back because we were in band class and I really couldn't say what I wanted to say. And we've all probably had a situation with our neighbors or somebody in traffic or our spouse or somebody that we didn't like, where we did something dumb and we didn't handle it like we should have. And then as you think about that incident in retrospect, what do they always say? Hindsight's 20/20. In hindsight, looking from a calm perspective back to what you did, you say, I could have probably handled that better. I think almost, I don't know, most of the time when we're involved in a scuffle, in an argument, something in traffic where you're like, you fucking asshole, you son of a bitch, you motherfucker, somebody cut you off. You're like, did I need to get that angry? You know, was that really? And the thing I'm getting to, there's something in my damn shoe. Talk about aggravating, there's something poking my foot. There's always something pokey in my shoes. How many times have you seen me take my shoes off and have to pull something pointy out of my shoes? In retrospect, we understand that in a calm mood, we can make decisions in a more logical manner. So once I had this counselor who had some really good information, and she shared like it was like a scale. It was like, if, you know, 1 is your calmest and 10 is your angriest, rage. As you go from 1 to 10, your logic starts to diminish. Your ability to think in a manner in which logic, like Spock, you know, from Star Trek, in which logic is the overriding factor, rather than when you're pissed off and somebody just almost hit you in a car and you're like, you son of a guy, son of a god, and you get angry. Your ability to use logic diminishes as you get to your angriest point. So a lot of these situations, when you see this, we do not see the emotional content on video. You can't record that on video. You can look at body motion, body behavior and facial expression sometimes, and you can see the interaction, but you can't feel that. You can try to emote with somebody and say, yeah, I've been in a situation like that and I can identify with why that guy was mad or why that guy punched that other guy. Have you ever seen these compilations where it's like bullies get theirs, or, you know, bullies get their just due or whatever? They used to have a whole bunch of compilations out where some guy would be screwing with the guy and the guy would be doing his best to like walk away from it. There's something on this lens that's bugging the hell out of me. Excuse me while I wipe this out. Anybody remember that? Excuse me while I whip this out. Excuse me while I wipe this off. I'll whip it out and wipe it off. So that's what I want you to get to really contemplate yourself when we're seeing this news, these news bits, these little tidbits. Try to identify on a level which may defy what you're seeing, and try to understand that whenever there's conflict, there's two people involved, and there may be a wrong situation. You know, both of them were in the wrong, but we have to try to use our logic and our emotions. I think I'm gonna cross the street real quick. I think I see an opening here. I'm going for it. Oh, there's a truck. I'm going for it. Why did the guy have to cross the street? What is it? Why did the chicken cross the road? Why did the dumbass in the hat cross the road? To get to the other side, of course. So that's my message today is try to put yourself in the shoes of the person and not judge what the news is force feeding you. It's like taking a funnel and taking the bigger picture and just stuffing this little funnel and squishing it down to this little bit. I know I'm kind of beating that dead horse, but so yeah, my final bulletin point here is we're not going to find out what happened, the complete picture, until there's either a trial or somebody pleads guilty and the facts come out and the what do you call it, the findings of the court are released, which means in the case of these police officers that are doing these, shooting black folks or whoever they're shooting, you're not going to hear that. I get distracted so easy. There's a piece of green tape or something on the ground. I'm like a little kid. Green tape. Yeah, so in the case of the George Floyd thing, we may not see these facts for up to 2 years when this comes out officially on paper and when the lawyers present the police officers' side of the story, which I think there is a side to the story, and I'm not going to get into right and wrong. I'm going to get into there is something that happened to cause that incident. And my most likely deduction from watching the full video timeline, the whole, like they say, it was an 8-minute thing or whatever, 8:26 or what it's called. Leading up to that incident, there was, he had a fake $20 bill, blah, blah, blah. They tried to put him in the car, and then he came out. And the only reason I'm referencing this, okay, so just hold on just a second. Just hold on. Don't start judging me. Just give me a second. The whole thing is something pissed that cop off. And we will probably not see or hear or read what that was that made him do what he did, which was completely wrong. I don't see really any way that they can spin this case. But in the case of the guy who shot the guy in Georgia, and he had a taser, and the guy was running away, and the cop shot him in the back. Yeah, I know. The popular thing is, well, he shot him in the back. Well, he must have been running away. He wasn't attacking the officer. I know that's what happened. You gotta think for yourself. You gotta try to put yourself in those shoes. If you wanna make a judgment, you can't snap judge. Well, you can, but you shouldn't snap judge and go, it's on the video. He shot him and he had a taser and he missed with it. Hey, he must be guilty. He's guilty. Folks, remember, there's always a beginning. There's always a tipping point. There's always something that happened, like I said, that pissed that officer off. And so I said that was the last point, but I'm gonna put a B on that. This is a point, bullet point number 3B, addendum. The first point, that last point was A, so this is B. If you ever had to do an index, whatever you call that, when you're doing a speech, officers are human beings. They get mad, they get sad, they get depressed, they get happy. They're not superhuman robots. They're like us. We are cops. Jesus, I'm almost getting choked up. You've got to realize that they have been trained to the best of their ability. And they have fractions of a second to choose to defend themselves or not defend themselves. And our lives aren't like that. We aren't in a life and death struggle. Well, I'm not gonna say all of us. I'm gonna say some of us don't have that position to we are in mortal danger it could be any time. They get a call, could be life or death, you know what I mean? So we have to reserve our judgments. I'm gonna get in the shade for a second here. Reserve our judgments a little bit. What are we doing on time here? Whew. Right at 29, almost right at 30 minutes. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to communicate. Like, that's what I think we should all be doing as a nation, is just trying to understand other people's point of view. Black people's point of view, white people, Asian people, German people, Alaskan people, Nordic people. We have to figure out how to overcome what is tearing us apart right now. Sorry. Having trouble with my hand. My hand's getting a cramp. We have to figure out how to not let the press steer our emotions and steer us into making these judgments as a nation and then going off and killing each other. It's a bad cycle what we're doing today. I mean, we can all admit that it's a bad cycle what's happening. The peaceful protesting is good. Pray to God that something happens to move this country in a better direction. And I think that's a good place to end this video. I really feel in my heart that I want us to heal and to keep talking about this subject and not let it drift away, but try to figure out how we can do this in a calm manner to get to a better place in America. I'm John Swift, and I'll see you in the next video.